Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Welcome to the GSMC social media podcast. Sorry about that. I kind of lost where I was going with that. Brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. We're going to keep going. I'm your host, Arianne. I'm joined here by the wonderful Heidi.
Hello.
Our first topic is about somebody who canceled on Kanye. That somebody is Charlamagne Tha God. And if you guys don't know who he is, he's the host of a radio show / podcast / live
broadcast,
called The Breakfast Club. Did I just say that?
The Breakfast Club?
Yeah. Okay. No, I thought I said it before. Moving on.
No, you're good. He hosts The Breakfast Club, which is like a show, podcast, live broadcast.
Yeah, and he'll have like celebrities and, you know, rappers, stuff like that on, and they just kind of chat. It's a pretty live show. Mm-hmm. I like watching it. It's pretty
I also appreciate that he's Charlamagne Tha God with an A, not an E.
Yeah, he's the God. Okay. Yeah, well, the reason why he canceled on Kanye actually is because they were supposed to do a Times Talk in New York Times. I've never heard of that show, but it was sold out apparently, and he thought it was a good idea because he suffers from like PTSD and anxiety, and he thought it would be a good idea and a great conversation to have about mental health and mental health awareness and
to
stuff
have
like
Kanye
that.
on his show talk about mental illness.
His whole idea was, you know, having two grown men, you know, just talk about their mental issues and kind of letting people know that it's okay to talk about stuff like this, you know, out in the open. And in his mind, he's just like, I want people, especially in the Black community, to know that it's okay to talk about, you know, if there's something going on with your brain and you might need help with it, whether that's like professionally or just talking to a family member, just get it out in the open. Don't just like sweep it under the rug, you know? And so he ended up canceling on Kanye because what he felt that it wouldn't be a good conversation anymore, because after Kanye went to the White House and spoke with Donald Trump, he made the comment that he was misdiagnosed in his bipolar disorder and that he was just sleep deprived. So Charlamagne Tha God was on I think it was Stephen Colbert is what I saw it on, and he was saying that, you know, he feels like Kanye needs to get some things together personally and kind of figure some things out for if he wanted to do a conversation like that and just be open about, you know, yes, you might have bipolar disorder, so accept it, get the help you need, and then if you're going to go that route, then we'll come and have a discussion or a conversation about mental health and, you know, how important it is for people to be aware of it. So
right, and that would also go against what Charlamagne wanted the show to be. You know, if he wanted for people to be okay with talking openly about these issues. And then if Kanye is going to say, maybe I don't have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's sort of against what his message is.
Exactly. And that's what he wants a lot of people to be aware of, because Charlamagne Tha God came out with a book about him dealing with certain things like his anxiety and stuff like that. And he felt like even if he did still have the conversation with Kanye, he said that he feels like it would be a distraction instead of an educational experience or a learning experience for everybody. Just like letting people know what's going on. Because with Kanye just going off on a lot of different things, and with him saying he's not been on his meds because he doesn't feel like he has bipolar disorder and everything like that, it wouldn't have gotten anything solved or anything Charlamagne personally wanted to bring to the light. So that's why he said it would have been a distraction instead of a good conversation.
Right. I could totally see that, especially because we've seen Kanye be like up and down a lot recently. Like, you don't want that on a show where people like, bought tickets and, you know, like are ready for like a real conversation.
Exactly.
And then to have someone who's been so inconsistent like that, I could really see how Charlamagne wants Kanye to kind of get himself together before doing it.
Yeah, and be aware of who you are. Don't just be like, because I feel like Kanye even would be the type of person that's like, oh yeah, no, like I'll come and talk about it, but it's like, no, because you flip flop, and this is a serious conversation that we need to have. Like, people need to be aware of stuff like this. So if you're gonna come on just as like a publicity situation, then no. Go somewhere else and do whatever you want to do. And maybe we'll get back to you at another time when you're, you know, comfortable, or maybe not. If you want to sit there and be like, I was misdiagnosed, then, you know, maybe he'll have a show with somebody else who's open about whatever situation they're going with and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so makes sense. Yeah. And with Charlamagne, I feel like he has a decent platform because a lot of people watch The Breakfast Club, and especially for like, you know, different ethnicities and different, like the minorities, you know, a lot of that conversation kind of gets swept. Like, I know in some families they'll be like, oh, that's just your crazy Uncle Joe, you know, over there, and then they just leave it at that. It's not, it doesn't say like why he crazy, or, you know, when he, you know, turned crazy, or he's always been like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like he, in his position, is able to bring a lot of awareness because a lot of minorities listen to his show and watch the Breakfast Club, stuff like that.
And to be able to talk about it in real terms.
Exactly.
You know, with like talking about real experiences or, you know, I don't know all the people he has on his show, but if you want to talk about like the psychology of it, you know. Right,
exactly.
Said that weird. The psychology of it, and like just to talk about it in like a real sense, you know, not just like he's crazy.
Exactly, and that's exactly what he's saying, because he was like, I've seen Kanye on interviews in different areas, and when he tells people, I've experienced this, they kind of just move on from it. They bypass the whole topic, and he's like, Charlamagne feels like at that point, no, he was like, no, you stop there and then address the situation. And he just feels like every time Kanye is on the show, they're just like, oh no, we can move on from that and, you know, say something else, which I think is important for him. And I think it's important for everybody to know, like, if you've never had to deal with somebody with a mental health issue, then, you know, you would understand, or you wouldn't understand, but it is very serious because it can make them change their personalities, just who they are so much.
And I think that's like a really good discussion topic for him to have, you know. Say, I also, as a listener, I would be interested to hear about that, because I do feel like a lot of people, if Kanye says, oh, I'm bipolar, they'll be like, oh, okay, and then like go on, you know, without really investigating it. And especially if he's someone who is interested already and has written about that topic, I feel like he'd be a really good person to have that conversation with Kanye.
And especially having him tell a little bit about like maybe his experiences throughout it and all this, you know, I mean, maybe this time the one situation was this, and then I switched to this. Like, it would be interesting to hear what happens as a person, like, going through it, you know?
Agreed.
And also, tied in with this, I guess Kanye has been getting a lot of, like, you know, backlash for this, for like changing his story about being misdiagnosed. And Charlamagne came out after and was like, kind of was saying, you know, leave Kanye alone, you know, like not really like defending him, but saying, you know, his quote was, we honestly shouldn't be paying attention to anything Kanye says until he actually goes out there and gets the help we all think he needs.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he went on to say the fact that we, or he says that's what keeps these stigmas about mental health and everything going, is because everybody keeps acting like it's a joke when it's not a joke. And it's like, no, he really has some problems. It's just not like, oh, crazy Kanye. No, like he has an issue. He needs to address it, or, you know, figure out what's going on with him. and stop making a joke about the whole situation, you know?
Right. Oh, see, now I really want to hear this conversation.
Yeah.
Hearing all his like background about it, I really think that'd be good.
Right.
I'd be very interested.
Of course. Charlamagne Tha God, he's a very intelligent man, and I feel like he has a lot to say. So when he finds the right person to have this conversation with, I feel like it's going to be something to watch or something to listen to, definitely.
For sure.
We're going to take our first break, and then we'll be right back to talk about more social media news.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. We're going to move on to our next topic, which I found pretty crazy, about pipe bombs that were sent in the mail. The postal service.
Yeah, this is insane.
Yeah.
I've been following this, and it's very scary.
It is. So apparently someone's sending pipe bombs through the mail, and they're targeting very specific people.
Right.
There was 11 found, maybe 12 because earlier today I just read that another one was found in the mail here in California.
Oh, man.
And I don't know who that was sent to, though, but the first of the 11 that were sent, I'm going to just read off who they were sent to. One of them was to former President Barack Obama. 2 of them to former Vice President Joe Biden. He's special. He gets 2. One of them to Robert De Niro. One of them to former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. One to former CIA Director John Brennan. One to former Attorney General Eric Holder. 2 of them to Representative Maxine Waters.
Also
I'm sure
special.
We all know why. She is special. Her and Joe Biden. Go ahead. That's nothing to laugh about. That it could have been like serious injury. Sorry. One of them to billionaire George Soros. One of them to the CNN offices. And then one of them to Senator Cory Booker. Now, I think these are crazy. In the first place, that you're sending pipe bombs through the mail. Who does that?
Right. Also, a pipe bomb is a bomb that is actually stuffed into a pipe.
Yeah.
So it's like the package would be like a small pipe. I guess, I don't know if it's PVC, but it's a pipe, and then stuffed into it are explosives.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called a pipe bomb.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's very literal.
Right. Well, the FBI are saying that these packages didn't get screened properly, and they went through the U.S. Postal Service, and the U.S. Postal Service is saying, well, they were just really small packages. That's why they, kind of got sent through the mail without full screening. And
I thought that's how they caught some of them, was from screening.
Yeah, some of them did get caught through screening, through the U.S. Postal Service screening criteria, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them didn't.
Oh, man.
And the FBI is kind of coming down on the U.S. Postal Service because they feel like their screenings or their the way they check packages should be like more. Maybe somebody's just like dropping the ball, and they do have a high screen. Just somebody's kind of letting stuff go. So they're investigating the U.S. Postal Service too. And I think it was specifically one in South Florida, because there's a facility out there that just deals strictly with packages throughout America. They don't deal with like letters or anything like that. It's just packaged items.
Didn't they also think the packages were coming from Florida?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So that's crazy.
Because the return address is not the person sending the bomb.
Not, yeah.
They put like
somebody else's.
I think it's like a representative who's in Florida.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
Somebody totally not who it originally is.
Yeah.
The New York mayor made a statement. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio. He called the packages. He said that they're clearly an effort to terrorize people politically and to choose people for political. This person chose people for political purpose and attacked them because of their political beliefs. And I mean, it makes sense when you see who they went to. And if you're confused about Robert De Niro, he is a frequent critic of Mr. Trump. So
basically they're targeting like Democrats and critics of Trump.
Of Trump now. So I believe what the New York Mayor Bill de Blasio is saying, because it's obvious, I feel like, in that sense. And everybody knows how much Mr. Trump doesn't like Maxine Waters, CNN, even like Fox News, and I'm surprised that none of them has gone there. But I think that they kind of back him up. Do they back him up?
Is that why? He likes Fox News a lot more.
He was calling CNN fake news.
Yes. So when he says fake news, he means everyone except Fox News.
Okay. Weird. And then they were also saying, the FBI who are investigating like the packages and the pipe bombs, they're saying that the pipe bombs were poorly made and that some of them couldn't have even exploded or
I did see that. They're considering that maybe some of them were just sent for terror, not necessarily to actually explode. But they're investigating whether they were just poorly made and were meant to explode but couldn't, or if they were meant to not explode and just be terror,
like a scare kind of.
Just be terrorizing.
And that's horrible. Like, whoever you are, please stop, because that's not nice.
We're imploring you from the podcast, please don't.
But I just thought that that's weird that somebody is just really has that much time on their hands to be sending out pipe bombs to, you know, pretty important people.
I also wonder if this is like it makes me curious if it's the same person. I mean, I think it is, because it looks like they're all similar bombs. But I wonder if it's like, you know, someone started it and then someone else heard about it and was like, oh, now I'm going to do it. So it kind of seems like it's the same person. Like, I just wonder if someone's like jumping on the train. You know?
Just like a copycat kind of thing.
I wonder if it's like a copycat crime, because this is a lot of packages that is being sent.
It is 11 so far, and then 12 according to the one that I read this morning that happened here. So I don't know. And even the FBI, when I was reading this article, they're saying that they think that there's so many more out there, that it's not just stopping, like they're going through and seeing if there's more,
like more that are being caught in screening, or more that are being delivered,
that have been delivered.
How would they be delivered and then no one would notice?
Exactly. Well, I know that they've been some of them that have been delivered were reported to people. Like, they had to clear out, I think it was Hillary Clinton's like whole office area, Barack Obama. They cleared out all of CNN offices because they actually got delivered, and then somebody thought that the packages were suspect, so they called and was like, there's something crazy about this. It kind of looks like the ones, because I guess they showed one a couple of days ago on the news or something. They showed
a picture of the package.
Exactly. And they're like, our package, we just received a package that looks just like this.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That makes the idea of working in a mailroom way scarier.
I wouldn't want. I'd be scared. I don't know.
That's really frightening. Also, just like, there's so many people, and were you like you had to be stockpiling these materials for a long time?
Exactly.
Like, I'm also surprised that I haven't heard. Maybe it's because in the news I've just been reading a bunch of people talking about how terrible this is, but I haven't read a lot of like news media like calls of like, if you see anyone suspicious who you think might be doing this, you know, with certain motives, please call us. You know, like, I remember, I think like with like the Unabomber, like they caught the Unabomber because of the letters he was sending and like the like linguistic clues that he had in it. And they were saying, if this person talks like this or sounds like this, you know, which makes it harder because they're not sending letters. Or they are sending letters. They're not talking to anybody. True. Well, they are sending letters?
Well, I think it's just the writing on the packaging that they can trace.
Yeah. But I mean, like, they're not sending, like, the Unabomber sent letters, you know, like, to newspapers and stuff. So I guess I'm, like, surprised I haven't heard more of a public cry of, like, you know, look for someone who might be suspicious in this way, you know, who might have these type of materials on hand or who has these political leanings.
Of course.
You know, that's crazy.
It almost seems like, I mean, to me, it's like, how can one person do all of this? I mean, if they have all the time on their hand, I'm like, I feel like it might be a group of people, but
that's what I'm thinking too.
You never know.
But no one has claimed responsibility.
Yeah.
And I feel like usually when things like this happen, you know,
they want to be
ISIS
known.
immediately says it was us.
Right? Something points the finger at somebody. So, yeah, but that's just crazy. Anybody who's getting these packages, please be safe, or delivering them.
Oh, please. If you work in the postal service,
be
please
careful.
be careful.
Yeah, because these, even though if they could go off, I mean, you never know if they can go off like in transit, you know?
Yeah.
So that would be crazy.
Or if you're like in a mailroom, please be careful. Look for suspicious packages.
Exactly.
I'm sure you already do. But
yeah,
please
and you feel them,
more.
you hold them,
Yeah,
you touch them.
gosh.
So, I mean, how can you not feel that there's
man.
something weird in that?
Right, who gets
you know.
shipped a piece of pipe?
Yeah, I know. I mean, unless it's like in a box and you can't really...
Don't shake it.
Yeah. Doesn't it go through like an X-ray scanner?
I
Not
don't know.
X-ray,
This
but you
is-
like one of those scanners they have at the airport or something.
Yeah, please
Crazy.
be careful.
Yeah, be careful. We're going to move on to our next topic that I found pretty cool. There's the European Parliament has voted to do a ban on a range of single-use plastics. So we are going to take a quick break and then come back and talk about this ban on plastics.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. We are going to continue talking about what I just mentioned before break, which was the European Parliament vote on ban of the use of banning single-use plastics.
Right. So single-use plastics are like the things that you use and then immediately throw away.
Yes, just one time, hence single. Yep. So those are such as straws, cotton buds. They call them cotton buds out there. Cutlery, like plastic knives, forks, spoons,
And cotton buds are like Q-tips.
Yeah, Q-tips.
In America. For those in the UK, they're apparently cotton buds.
Yes.
Which I would think that means like a cotton ball.
Yeah.
But apparently it means a Q-tip.
Right.
So,
Well, we call
that's true.
Earbuds, and those go in your ear. I don't know. We're not going to get into the technicalities of it all. But they actually have 10 single-use plastics that they want to ban. I'm not going to list them, but there's only 10, but
yeah. And this is in an effort to curb ocean pollution.
Yes, they're trying to curb ocean pollution. There was a article in the World Economic Forum, and in that it said that it estimated that there was about 150 million tons of plastic in the world seas, and the world seas, plural. And then in a study that was published in Science magazine in 2015, they suggested that between 5 and 13 million tons more are flowing into the seas every year.
Wow. That is a lot of plastic in our oceans.
Yes, it is.
That's so sad.
And then it makes you sad when you see like turtles with the can,
Yes.
the plastic can
or like
things around
birds
them.
who've just eaten just trash.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. But that's
Those
also bad because we're eating fish from the ocean.
Yeah.
Like we're consuming somehow, the plastic that we're putting into the ocean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't eat the entire fish.
True. But like we're not eating nutrient rich fish.
Yeah.
We're eating
Right,
fish
because
that has been
they're-
eating plastic.
Yeah, so how healthy could those fish
Right,
really
it's probably
been
not very healthy
for
yeah.
anybody? Them,
I mean,
or
don't
us?
quote me, but I don't think that's healthy.
Right. There was a member of the it's called the European Parliament. And his member of the European Parliament, MEP, they go by, but his name is Frederick Reis, and he tweeted a little bit ago, I think it was a couple of days ago, about this, and he said this is a victory for our oceans, for the environment, and for future generations. And I feel like he's 100% correct on that, because we do need to be careful what goes into our oceans, because I feel like it gets recycled back to us in some way, shape, form, or fashion anyway.
Right,
So,
I agree.
yeah, and another thing about this article, it said they kind of got the push from China, because last year China banned the imports of 24 varieties of solid waste, including types of plastic and unsorted paper. So that kind of put pressure on Europe to deal. The European Parliament said that it kind of put pressure on them to deal with their own waste issues.
Right. Because China was a huge, so China would pay like the US and Europe to take some of our recyclables, like plastics and paper, and then they would take it and then reuse it to make like cheap plastic toys and things like that. And now they're not going to do that as much. So we have to deal with all of our recyclables, which is also a problem because that means some recycling centers, like, they don't know what to do with all their recycling now.
Right.
They kind of can't get rid of it. And that means that some of that might have to go into a landfill, which is really unfortunate. So this is a really good idea, and it's actually kind of a good thing that China has put this ban, because that makes us have to deal with it and have to find a solution.
Seriously, though, I know where I live, so we have bins that it's for like recyclable paper, plastic, some I think it's aluminum, and then a different bin for like yard waste recyclables. But I know our plastic recyclables, it can only be a recyclable of 1, 2, or 3. So the number in the middle of the little triangle thing. Right. Yeah. If it's like 4 or above, we have to throw it away.
Right. You can't recycle. Yeah. I feel like we often use like number 5 plastic. And those are definitely not recyclable. Which is sad, because you have to throw it away, even though it's plastic.
It's going to end up in the waste or in the landfill or whatever. So, I mean, I think that's an amazing idea to just cut down on things like that. And I know that here in California, they're at their certain, what are they, larger restaurants, they won't provide straws unless you ask for them.
Right. Or they'll provide like paper straws or alternative like biodegradable straws, which I know has its own debate. All on its own. Oh gosh.
Right, but I mean, I feel like if they're going to do that, make sure the dishes are clean, please. Moving on to our last topic in this episode, I think it is pretty cool. Ethiopia has appointed their first woman president.
Yes.
And I think this just happened this week, Thursday. So
yeah, I think on Thursday. So when you listen to this, it'll be last week.
Last week, right? So anyway, Ethiopia's parliament had, they, like I said, appointed their first woman president. Now, the president's place in Ethiopia is more of it's like a ceremonial kind of thing, because the prime minister there still has like the last say.
Like the governing power?
Yeah, he has the rule, or whatever you want to call it, wields the executive powers.
So is the president kind of like how in the UK there's the royal family and there's a prime minister?
Yeah.
Is the president like that, but elected?
Yeah, she's still elected, and she was voted in unanimously, from what the article was saying. I don't want to say her name because I totally think I'm going to like butcher the mess out of her name. It starts with an S.
I mean, I butchered the last Hawaiian word that I tried to say on the
to
podcast. I mean...
So, I don't know how they pronounce their vowels and stuff. It's Sali Work Zwede. Anyway,
we tried and we're very sorry.
But yeah, so the country had appointed, I think it was a little bit ago, that their cabinet has to be even. It has to be half men, half women.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so the previous president, which is crazy, after that got passed, he resigned.
Oh.
Yeah, so the very next day, they appointed her to be the president. So it kind
did
of like
he resign because it wasn't even? Or because he just didn't agree with that policy?
It kind of makes it sound like he resigned because he didn't agree with the policy, but it doesn't like really say that. So I don't know if they're just kind of saving him from like, you know, some backlash on, you know, he didn't agree, but it kind of implied that.
Right.
That's how I took it.
Also, when they're electing a president, or is it like someone who's from the cabinet that they elect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the cabinet votes on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's been on the cabinet for a very long time and doing other work as well, which it is stated what she did, but she did a lot. So I'm not going to name it all. But she did have a statement that she will bring. Actually, that was what the prime minister said. The prime minister, and his name is, I'm going to butcher his name too, Fitsum Arega. So his statement on the whole issue was, and it's not really an issue, but on the situation was, he feels that she will bring the right competence and the right experience to the office. And then she said that she vows to uphold peace and promote gender equality because this is in Africa's second most populous nation.
Oh,
yeah,
good for her.
I know. So I'm super happy for her, and I wish her the best because I think that's going to be a super powerful position for her to utilize. Even if, you know, the prime minister still has a lot of the executive powers, then she can still do things to help.
Right. Also, I'd say this is like a foot in the door, you know, like this is a start.
Yeah.
Like if they're saying half their cabinet has to be women and half men, and then they now have a female president and a male prime minister, you know, I feel like that's definitely like a couple steps forward, not just one, like a couple steps forward towards maybe one day having a female prime minister.
Right.
Not that I'm trying to say they should only have like women prime ministers.
But equality for sure.
Exactly. And like having a female president and a female prime minister would be really cool for the country.
Yeah.
And I think increasing representation of women and like having female voices heard.
And even
really
just
good.
a different perspective, even because I feel like for so long there, it's just like it's been male ruled, so it's just been their point of view, like the man's side of it all. So even to have like the man in the prime minister's position and then her in the president's position, I mean, that's going to be a great combination for them to work with there by itself too.
Yeah, to work together.
Yeah, exactly. So on that, we're going to end our episode on a positive note because I think that was amazing. And thank you so much for listening. Please join us next time to hear about more social media news.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.